I can bet everything I have that what I experienced through Mark Caseta seminars, it's way better with what I'm experiencing right now with all these famous and world-class speakers.
I never planned on being a speaker. I had a course in college and I got a C- in public speaking. So
I had never heard of Think and Grow Rich. I'd never heard of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And now last, a couple of months back, we did an event with Robert Kiyosaki.
I realized that we can do something huge with life mastery trainings.
the biggest motivator is not desire for gain, but a fear of losing something. Hi, my name is Mark Caseta, and I'd like to welcome you to our inaugural podcast for Life Mastery Trainings. In order to kick this thing off, I really have to defer to my partner Stavros because he's the reason why we're all sitting here right now.
Yeah, and that's a great story, that takes me back 10 years ago when I started going to personal development events. And I don't want to mention names, I don't want to mention companies right now, but I've been in, dozens of events the first 2 years, and I remember thinking to myself, I've been in events with Mark Caseta, I've been at events with the best of the best of the best in the world, and I can bet everything I have that what I experienced through Mark Caseta seminars, it's way better with what I'm experiencing right now with all these famous and world-class speakers. So at that point, I'm asking myself what it takes to get Mark Caseta to come and do events, not for a specific company, not for a specific industry, but for the whole world. And that is where, that idea was born into my mind. And, I don't remember when, but, a few years ago, I started talking to you that we should start doing events outside, network marketing industry. We should start doing events not for a specific company, but everyone that I know needs to have that information. And we had that debate.
I remember real fast. First of all, I never planned on being a speaker. I had a course in college and I got a C- in public speaking. So as I got involved in network marketing world, you need to be able to do presentations and then eventually do training. So it just kind of happened naturally, but I was always part of an organization. And then where you and I met, I was the in-house trainer for that company, and we got them to do $1 billion a year, and everything was great, but I was used to just having that one client in that one area. So I know that everything we teach is universal, because universal success principles work in every business. They work if you're trying to lose weight. They work if you're trying to have a great relationship. But, we're creatures of habit. And I was, used to having one client. So when you were telling me that, part of me is going, yeah, you're right. The other part of me is going, but I've never really done that. You know what I mean? So it was interesting, but you were persistent.
Yeah, because as you are talking, I remind myself how many times I invited someone to our ex-company's event that had nothing to do with the company, had nothing to do with the industry. He didn't even want to sell something or recruit or approach people. I had friends that they were taking drugs, and I'm like, you got to come to this event. And my only motive was to get him to this event, go through personal development so he can realize why he needs to quit taking drugs. I had people that they were, people that I knew were alcoholics. You got to come to this event, quit smoking. You got to come to this event, get out of a toxic relationship. You got to come to this event. So I convinced myself that what you are doing is necessary not for one company, not for one industry, but for the whole world. Mm-hmm. And I remember calling you, say, hey, Mark, we got to do this, outside any company. We got to do this and present it to everyone. And at the beginning, you said, oh, yeah, let me think about it. It may be a good idea, may not. So give me some time. And I remember I was in Romania, and I was about to catch a flight back home in Cyprus. And at that time, I was at the airport. And I looked at a banner. And it was Gary Vee
Yep.
And he was going to have an event in Bucharest.
Yep.
And I said, yeah, but this is what I wanted to do, you know. So, you know, in Romania is closer to me. Why Gary Vee is coming from United States here for this event?
Right.
We should have Mark Cassetta, you know. And I fully respect Gary Vee, great speaker, you know, great leader. But I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna do this. So I'm calling you.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, I'm here in Romania. I'm going back to Cyprus. I took my decision. I'm moving forward.
Yeah, I remember this call.
Yeah, I'm like, you're...
Basically, I'm going to do it with or without you, which
Yeah.
is where, you know, honestly, and it's one of the things that I trained you years ago, was the biggest motivator is not desire for gain, but a fear of losing something.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what you did to me. You're
Yeah,
not
and
supposed to use what someone teaches you against them.
Yeah,
so-
and I didn't have any strategy, you know. It was just what I felt that, you know, you're my mentor. You are the best speaker I know. You are the one that can work directly with people. You know, there are speakers that they work with audience, but what I saw in you is that you work with individuals. Mm-hmm. You may have 1,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 people in a room, but every single one of them, they feel that you are talking individually and specifically to them. So I said, you know, I want to do this with you. I don't want to do it with anybody else.
Yeah.
But because I believe in you, but I also believe in the industry of personal development. I also believe in what we do. So if you are not coming, I'm going. I just want you to be with me.
So again, I think this is where I take the baton. So I thought about it, and I had I still have this incredible client in insurance, and I knew they would be okay with it. The other client I had a funny feeling they wouldn't want me to do anything else, you know. And again, I misjudged them. When I sat down with them and explained what we were doing, they were actually fine with it. So it's a good teaching point that I had this story going on in my head, which had nothing to do with reality, but it almost blocked me from working with you, which would have been tragic. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, this is what I've really always wanted to do. Again, the story that you told, I can't tell you how many hundreds of people came to one of the events for a company specifically, and they messaged me and go, yeah, I never really did much with that company, but I started my own company, and last year I made $3 million, or I did this, or I did, and it just, you know, I remember getting this information. It was 35 years ago. I sat in a room. I was 27 years old, and I didn't have anything. That event cost $300. I had to borrow the $300 to go in the event. I didn't know. Like, I'd never heard of the book Think and Grow Rich. I never heard of How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is not stuff I learned in school. It's not stuff I learned from my mom and dad. So I am a student of all this stuff. That's why every time I've done an event, and I've done hundreds of events with under 100 people in a room, I don't care. I mean, I like doing the bigger events with 25, 30,000, but the point is there's someone in that room who is like I used to be, full of energy, full of passion, with big dreams, but just had no idea what to do or how to get there. So when you told me that, I'm like, all right, let's just do it. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm excited. And you also know, our intent is not just to do one part of the world. Like, I love America and I want to be all over the United States, but love Europe. I really want to be but we have so many students and friends in Asia and Africa and Australia, South America. So, I mean, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going to people all over the world, and you know, I'll lead the charge for the first few years, but then you guys are going to pick up the baton. So this is not a short-term deal. This is a 30, 40, 50 year, you know, forever kind of a deal that we're going to pour into people who really want to excel in whatever area of life. And in Life Mastery, we have 4 pillars. It's not all about finances. It's about having a really balanced life and being joyful and being healthy and having great relationships and really living the life that God intended us to live. So I'm excited. And that's why I brought Monica with me. I mean, every live event I've done for the last 20 years?
Yeah, it's been 20 years now that we've been
Crazy,
doing
man.
stuff
And it's
together.
like, I remember in the very, very beginning, he knew how to set up equipment and test my, you know, he knew some technical things, but like he didn't have the feel for running a live event.
Yeah.
So I gave you a list of songs, and God forbid you played one song out of mine.
Different, right?
But what's crazy is over the last 20 years, I don't remember how long ago it was. It was probably, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I just said, you got it. Like, cause you know, and it's like you've developed a feel for the event, but also now you direct the whole thing. I mean, you know, we do these events sometimes with thousands, tens of thousands of people, and lights, camera, everything, and you're behind the scenes doing morning table reads, like overrunning the entire show. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's
come a long way.
It's definitely, it's come a long way. But yeah, I mean, initially, that's one of the things that, you know, I was in charge of just setting up stuff. But then throughout the years, the one cool thing, you know, to Stavros' point, is just seeing how many lives have been changed with the events, including my own. Like, I mean, I had never heard of Think and Grow Rich. I had never heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad, and now a couple of months back, we did an event with Robert Kiyosaki. So that was very cool. That I was, you know. But yeah, I mean, any of that information, I wasn't, you know, like many people, you're not born with all of that information. Right. So I've seen how that information that you've taught and that I've learned and applied it to my, you know, with my wife, with my kids, with my business, and you know, being able to interact with, you know, we have so many different personalities that we deal with, even for production staff, you know, so. Sure. And they don't have some of this information. So I could see where even, you know, they're paying attention, they're doing their job, but they're also listening to this stuff and applying to it. And it's been very, very cool. So to be able to bring this information to the masses and to do it with, you know, some of the best friends I've got, I mean, it's a very cool, you know, it's a very cool experience. Yeah. Yeah. And with George, you know, we're the eye candy of the group.
Wow.
Yeah, they say you have more with your friends, you know, the people that you hang around, you have more similarities than differences. I will say, you know, you guys, you are twin brothers. Yeah. When it comes on, when it comes on, you know, the way you live your life and the way you lead, the way you support and serve people. So when we had that conversation with Mark, and he said, yeah, whatever we do, you know, I'm bringing Monego with me. Yeah. And I said, you know, that's, you know, the best thing you could tell me. I'm bringing also George with us.
Right, yeah.
And George was excited from the first minute I called him and I told him, hey, we are doing this with Mark and Monego. So you want to share?
Absolutely, I'm so grateful. I mean, hanging around with these guys, and I still remember when I started as a student, when we started our first network marketing company. That was back in 2011, and at that time I was a TV show presenter in Cyprus, and I had no idea about personal development. So I started as a student, and I saw what network marketing brought in my life, which basically transformed my life over the years. So I saw the growth inside me, the change inside me, and then seeing others changing their lives through this industry, I realized that we can do something huge with life mastery trainings. And I truly believe, and I saw that gap, especially during the COVID period, when people looked at home. And I saw the difference between people that they have developed themselves in the past, how they used this time and how they became stronger and bigger and more powerful from COVID. And how big was the bad effect on people that were not developed. Right. I mean, I remember we had so many calls with our network at that time, and I was telling to everybody, those who are gonna use this time and work on themselves, they will get out of COVID way much stronger. And there are so many powerful stories, I mean, individuals or companies that they have created during this time. And I'm pretty sure that the people who got out of COVID successful are those who work on themselves in the past. And it's always, we don't know what we don't know. How many people they don't know the existence of personal development. I was one of them.
Yeah.
So just like Stavros said, in the past we have brought people to Mark that they had nothing to do with our business, just because we saw that they needed something. And they've been, I mean, I have so many friends that they came to events like Breakthrough, the one we are going to have the next days, and they just came and through until from that time, their whole business, their personal life changed.
That's what I was going to say, is like the very first event I went to was Breakthrough. And I went to it consecutively for 5 years, where I was a student going to it. And every single time, sometimes people go to events and they're like, why do you keep going to them?
Yeah.
I used to do that. Hey, why are you still going to another event?
Right.
You know, when I hadn't gone to events, but then every single time that I'd go back, it's like I was at a different part in my life that I was tweaking.
It hits
now.
different.
Yeah. So now it's a little bit, first time it was like, okay, focus on finances, now focus on spiritual, now focus on health, you know.
Yeah, I think the biggest confusion with people or to people about events is that some of them, they don't understand events is a way of life. You know, education never stops, right? So it's not that, you know, I'm going to go to this event to learn how to drive cars. So now I know how to drive a car. So I don't need to go to this event again. Yeah, I understand this. But it's not that I'm going to this event to learn how to manage my finances. So now I know, so I don't need to educate myself again about finances. It's like saying, you know, I'm dirty, I need to clean my body, I need to take a shower. Now I'm clean, so I'm never going to take any shower again. You know, I'm clean.
It's ridiculous. Well, and I think this is actually a good place to wrap our first one, because our next one, we're going to actually talk about education, you know, formal education versus what we do and other types of ways you can learn. But I think this is a good initial podcast, because you got to know us a little bit and why we're here and why hopefully you're going to be hanging out with us guys. Again, we just love what we do. All of our lives have been transformed in the most wonderful way by this kind of information, and our sincere desire is to get this information out to as many people as humanly possible. So thanks for being with us, and definitely tune in next week when we talk about education.